Come Up, where I go over gaming news and TV news, basically Hollywood news from last week. So let's go ahead and get into this. Not a lot of news actually for the movie stuff. Couple of things I want to talk about. I want to go over the Halo series. The penultimate episode came out, and that was fun to watch. I'm having a blast watching the show. It's so much fun. And that's really it. I've actually missed something the last 2 weeks. I don't know why, and this probably tells you how much I give a shit about it, but the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer, or I'm sorry, it's just Obi-Wan, I think it's what it's called. But the new Disney series with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, or reprising his role as Obi-Wan, I want to talk about it, but it's pretty forgettable, so. But the first thing I want to get into this week is the Doctor Strange numbers for this week. So the movie came out a week ago, and it's not looking good. Now, I'm going to put a caveat on this because I'm going to read you some numbers. This was a Forbes article written by Scott Mendelson. So I want to say this. I think these numbers and the drop off are indicative of a few things that I'll get into. But I know this movie had a decent amount of hype going into it last week, I should say. I knew a lot of people at my work who were excited to go see it. They're very, very normie like me, probably more normie than me, I would say. But I guess it's not doing so well the second week. And I got to point out there's not a lot of movies out right now, so it kind of got to have last weekend and this weekend kind of all to itself. The only other big movie that I can think of right now is Northman, and that's already on what is it, HBO Access or whatever it's called, HBO Max. But sorry, I'm gonna move this cord out of my way. Start tugging on it with my arm, it gets annoying. All right, so the article says here, it says, since there's man, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna preface it right now. It's nice and sunny here in Texas, and the pollen is flowing, so I'm going to be clearing my throat a lot, and I apologize even if I sound a little nasally, but it's nothing I can do. It's a bummer. Let's see here. So, since there's only one new wide release this weekend, and a half-hearted affair at that, there was a little doubt that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness would keep the domestic box office crown. The MCU sequel earned $16.739 million on its second Friday, down a frankly huge 81.5% from its previous $90.7 million opening day. That initial gross had $36 million worth of Thursday preview grosses, but the drop is still on par with Black Widow's 79% second Friday drop last summer, and is the biggest Friday-to-Friday drop ever for a Disney MCU movie. I mean, look, I've railed on Disney plenty. I don't really need to. You know how I feel. If you've seen me, if you watched any of the podcasts or any, trailer reviews or movie reviews that I've done, and pertaining Disney or MCU, you know how I feel about it. I think they're trash. I think they're taking the MCU and they're crumpling it up into a big pile of just scrap paper and just kicking it around like a hacky sack. They have no idea what they're doing. There's a little bit more of the article here. It says, it's essentially tied with the 81.6% second Friday drop of Batman vs. Superman in April of 2016, and we're probably looking at a near identical 67% second weekend drop and a 61 million weekend gross. We're still talking about a 247 million 8-day domestic gross and a likely 10-day cum of around 288 million. So I think that, I'm sorry, I do want to read this other line here. And Sony's Spider-Man No Way Home dropped 83% on its second Friday, Christmas Eve, and 67.5% on its first weekend, and still earned $1.71 times it says I think they meant to put a B there. I think it's 1.71 billion. It's 470 million 10-day total. I think it's I don't know 1.71 times. I don't know what that means. So I apologize for that. But I did want to point that out, that Spider-Man No Way Home was a big movie. I mean, I liked the movie. I think it was really good. I don't think it was perfect. I think it definitely had some flaws. So, but I want to give this movie a fair comparison and a fair shake. I've not seen the movie. I know all about it. I know the spoilers. My understanding is this is not really a Doctor Strange movie. This is a Wanda Maximoff. You know what's funny? Last week I said this too. I caught it when I was reviewing, and then I forgot to put a little note in there. But I said Wanda Sykes. I called Wanda Maximoff Wanda Sykes at one point. So no, Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. This movie is focused on her story, and I understand that Doctor Strange is, he is the main character, but it's very obvious that Disney wanted to use the moniker, the Doctor Strange, the hype for seeing a sequel to his or to see Doctor Strange's sequel movie, because the first movie I thought was okay. I didn't think it was that great. It was fun, and Benedict Cumberbatch is a good actor. I didn't like the fact that they race swapped and gender swapped his Tibetan master for China. That's what Disney did. They didn't want to have, and my understanding too is they said it was insensitive to whatever the Tibetan culture, but they turned a monk, like some sort of Tibetan monk, which are men, and they made a bald white woman as the sensei mentor figure of Doctor Strange, which I didn't like. I thought it was stupid, but I thought the movie was still okay. I thought Mads Mikkelsen was kind of a one-note character in that movie, but regardless, I thought it was a decent flick. So, but the character itself, Doctor Strange, his character has grown in fame since that movie and the Avenger movies. So I think there was a lot of people who were excited to go see this. I was actually, when I saw that they were making a sequel, I was interested. But with everything that Disney is doing with the MCU, it's the same shit over and over and over again. And this movie is no different. It is a bait and switch where they use Doctor Strange to get people in the seats, and then it's all about Wanda Maximoff and Scarlet, her journey as a broken woman. And I just wish they would have done a Scarlet Witch movie. Just fucking do a Scarlet Witch. Give her, because she is a cool character, give her actual movie. But they couldn't do it because, and I've said this before to some friends of mine and some coworkers and stuff. We are probably done seeing any sort of male character as a true hero. I really just believe that. I don't think there's going to be a nice run, and there has been since Endgame, of movies from Disney and in a lot of other studios. It's not just Disney, WB, and they're all doing it in Hollywood. We will not see a lot of the traditional hero journeys that are men. They're not going to do it. So take that. That's just my opinion, and I think my opinion is, from my perspective, it's pretty fucking spot on. I mean, if you look at, Loki, if you look at what's coming with Thor, Love and Thunder, you look at Hawkeye, every character that's left every male character is just being just torn down, and then a woman character is being sort of shoehorned into the place of the actual hero. I mean, this is this is one little light spoiler here, so I want to give you a warning, but my understanding is at the end of this movie, Doctor Strange isn't even in the final boss. So the big boss fight at the end of every MCU movie since Iron Man or any movie in general, any superhero movie, um, he's not even in it. It's not even about him. So, like, what the fuck? That's not Doctor Strange. Like, that's not his movie. So I think it's bullshit, and I think they knew if they would have just done a Wanda Maximoff or or Scarlet Witch and the whatever. I think they knew that if they would have done that, then it wouldn't have drawn as big of a crowd. So, but we'll see what happens. See if it starts dropping continually. But it's definitely dropped a lot. 81% that's a big drop off. So, but let's see. Now I want to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. So the Obi-Wan trailer, I think there's two now, if I'm not mistaken. I think. But so Disney's in charge of Star Wars, as you know. I'm not a fan of their Star Wars. I'm not a fan of anything that they've done with Star Wars at all, including The Mandalorian, which any Star Wars fan, a current fan, who didn't grow up with the original trilogy, that's usually the only bullet in their holster is Mandalorian was great. And I also hear a lot of it's not great, but it's not bad either. You know, that's that might be what people's standards are now, but the original Star Wars trilogy is it's just classic. It's so good in writing character arcs, special effects for the time, you know, the storyline in general, just the overall, evil empire, with its, boot on the heels, or I'm sorry, boot on the throat of, you know, a rebel force that's trying to fight them from taking over the galaxy. I mean, the whole trilogy itself is great. And Disney, since Disney has been in charge, it has lost that magic. It just doesn't have the same appeal to me at all. I think the writing's trash. I think the characters are shit. The new characters they're trying to force into the the universe, and how they're just throwing the old characters out to dry. I just think it sucks. And one of the things that a lot of people are saying, that like you may have heard this, is it's the old bait and switch. And I don't think this is any different. This trailer, to me, we saw a little bit of Obi-Wan. We see him sort of watching a young Luke from a distance through some binos, and it was so on the nose too, this scene, that he's watching a young Luke, and he's pretending to be flying some sort of like spacecraft, or maybe he's pretending to pod race, if that was even a thing at the time. But I just think that it was so on the nose. And then from that point on, there was one other scene really. That's not true. There's a few scenes with Obi-Wan, but they're really quick scenes. And the rest of the stuff that's not on Tatooine, like where the characters are, it's he's not involved in really much of anything else outside of what we see on Tatooine, which is fair. But what I see coming is we're going to see a lot of off-planet stuff, off Tatooine, on some other planets. I don't know the lore necessarily with this new shit. I do know that they're introducing the one female character that we saw. She was fucking terrible. The acting, that's the other thing. The acting in this trailer I thought was shit. But I think the focus is going to be on her. I think the focus is going to be on basically her. And there's some other, what do they call them? Like Jedi Hunters or whatever. It's what she is. It's what this part of this group is. And one of my coworkers, he knew the names and stuff. He like watches cartoons and Clone Wars and all that stuff. I don't, and I've never seen them. Don't really have any interest in it anyways. But so apparently there's this group of people who are like an extension of Darth Vader who hunt down Jedi and kill them. And that's what I saw. Like, that's pretty much what the show is going to be about. I think there could be something really good there. There really could. Like, the premise is totally fine. I think they actually, let me rephrase that. I think the premise is actually really good. But like Doctor Strange, like every other Disney product, it's going to fucking suck. It's going to be the same recipe. Jangle the keys of nostalgia in the faces of baby boomers and Gen Xers like myself, and get us in, and then just bombard us with nothing but their new trash. You know, Vespa scooters in space, fucking Mary Poppins in space, you know, no characters that we know altogether from the original trilogy, just using the music, using the sound effects and the background, I guess, to draw in the people who have been fans for this for so long, since way before fucking Disney got their hands on it. I think that this is going to be shit. I'm not looking forward to it. I might review it, but I probably won't, because it's already irritating me. Just watching the trailer, it was already irritating me because I could see what was going on. And the the actress who I think they're going to focus on, she yells something out, "I will find you," or whatever. And man, it was fucking cringe and just terrible acting. And you know, and per usual, it's going to be some actress that we've never seen, I've never heard of. There's probably a director and writers from who are all rookies, who are fucking fresh out of film school, and they check all the right boxes on their resume in terms of their identity and their politics. So yeah, and that current method of hiring writers and actors and directors, showrunners, producers, yeah, it fucking sucks. You know, we've been getting shit for a while now, so I don't think there's going to be any different. And I think this actress looks stupid. I think it looks really dumb. And at the very end, like I said, I think there's 2 trailers, but the last one I saw was we see Vader sort of getting his chest plate put on, and then they show they show Obi-Wan. It looks like he's about to be face to face with Vader. I thought they hadn't seen each other. I thought when they ran into each other on the Death Star, on A New Hope, the movie A New Hope, I thought that was the first time they had seen each other in all those years. So, but I'm sure they're going to retcon the fuck out of that and change it up. So, but anywho's, I think it's going to be shit. I'm not looking forward to it. So, like most modern TV shows, the Halo series is no different. This is fucking gold. This show is what all shit Hollywood films or shows will be measured against in the future. I don't care what anybody says. And it's so funny because, you know, I've been watching a lot of, not the usual YouTubers and creators that I typically watch. I still watch them, obviously. I have, you know, my go-tos that I like to, the people who put out like solid content, you know, Critical Drinker and, you know, Geeks and Gamers, Nerdrotic, all of these, you know, all of the channels that I've been watching for years now. I still watch those, but I've really been trying to watch other, just off the beaten path type of creators, people who don't have a whole lot of subscribers, who are probably rocking, you know, like maybe 10,000 subs or whatever, and you know, they're not getting near the traction. Because I want to give, when I find a channel that I like, I want to give them a sub. You know, like I hope people, you know, because I don't have that many subs, and that's fine. I'm just saying, like, you know, so if I grab people that have never seen anything that I've done before, seen the channel, you know, that's good. I want to welcome anybody who comes to this channel, and I don't want to just focus in on all the big channels, and I want to watch the smaller channels and give them views and give them their props, because there's some really good content creators out there. However, there are some that I've been seeing lately that are fucking cheering this show on, and I think it's fucking funny. I just the things that I'm hearing the defenders for this show say, who claim to be Halo fans or Xbox fans, the things that they're saying, it just shit just cracks me up. But so the last episode, episode 8, episode 9, I don't even remember. I don't give a shit. Doesn't matter. So Master Chief, and that's I think that's the last time I'm going to call him Master Chief. This is John. His name is John. Okay. So John gets laid. Okay, for the first time in all these years, John hooks up, so he's no longer a virgin. Good for you. So he's like he looks like a 45-year-old virgin. So the what is she called? Her name's Mackie, but she's like a supposed, she works for the Covenant, the alien race that the humans are fighting, this great galactic war. So she sneaks, or no, I shouldn't sneak. She infiltrates the UNSC, and the whole premise behind that I thought was fucking stupid. But they took her, a person who they believe initially, and had every reason to believe that she is a spy, they take her to their home base, and they keep her in some quarters and everything, but they're treating her just fine, and the interrogation has been, non-existent. But I'm sorry, see, I just did it. John is, all of a sudden, he's interested in her because of their connection. He's connected to this artifact. She's connected into another way. She can tell, like they can tell something about each other or whatever. It's so fucking stupid, because in one episode, John doesn't trust her, is very skeptical of her, and she's weird. Like the character Mackie, she's a fucking weird one anyways. Fucking Hillary Jr. And I say that because she looks like a young Hillary Clinton, short hair and all. But in literally one episode, they got to know each other, and he went from not trusting her and being kind of a dick to taking her on a walk through the park and holding hands, and it's like a whole fucking love story, and it's so bad, it's so cringe. There is no basis for this to even be a thing. The show had rushed this love scenario just to get Master Chief some booty, essentially, and it doesn't make any sense. Like John is a soldier first, and and to me personally, I think that Master Chief in the video games is kind of, and this isn't me shit talking it. To me, he's kind of a generic hero, but he is still a really well done hero. Like, he is the prototypical Billy Badass of space, whipping Covenant's asses, and because he is a superhuman construction. He is not a normal human. He's massive. He's supposed to be way bigger than he is in the show, but he's massive. He's strong. He's got tons of military training, and he wears a fucking badass suit that provides him additional armor, and he is just awesome in all the ways that you want your superhero type characters to be. And this show, they just wanted to take this character and they made Master Chief into John, and so now John is a totally different character, and they are going out of their way to show that the Spartans are evil. And like I said it before, they talk about some of the Spartans. They're called Silver Team, I think. John's team, I think they're called Silver Team, and they are discussing their training with a doctor named Miranda Keys. And they're talking about things like it was fucking weird. It was they talking about murdering their pets, and that was part of their training, and it just was fucking weird. And they've intimated with other lines about how they're mindless zombies, essentially. Like they're almost like they're just robots. Like they're not even human. Like they're synthetics, and they have no empathy, or they have no sympathy. They have no human emotion whatsoever. And now they do have this sort of emotional blocking chip that shuts down the emotion, but it's not so that they're evil. It's not to make them evil. It's so that they're a little more, well, I'd say more obedient, and they don't feel fear. Like that's the biggest reason. Like they don't want them to fear anything, and they don't. Like in the games, Master Chief fears nothing. You know, he has a target, he locks on, he just goes. But he's not he doesn't like kill children and, kill animals, willy-nilly. He's not some fucking mass murdering person or soldier. And that's what the show really is trying. And they did it again in this episode, where you see John in the park with Mackie, and they're walking and talking, and, John's trying to like say things on the sly to her so that the soldiers that are watching them can't hear. And, the main boss lady, she says something along the lines of the original, or the Master Chief we know would have ripped her arms off by now with his bare hands. It's like another line to tell us just how brutal and evil John is. And it's so stupid. It's so forced. The dialogue's trash. The only thing that I thought was good in this particular episode was there's a fight scene between John and Silver Team. Now, I've listened to some other reviewers and some other, definitely like more core Halo fans who have played all the games and know all the lore and all that stuff. This, to them, to the core fans, is like a big no-no, because Silver Team and John are super tight and they would never fight each other like this. I don't know that, and I didn't know that going into it, so it didn't really rub me the wrong way, but I totally get it if it does. The fight scene, though, I thought was cool. Like it was like watching little toy action figures banging into each other. There was some pretty cool choreography, and it wasn't great by any means, but it was kind of cool. It was kind of like in a show that's flatlined, it is a low light, which by design makes it a highlight, but it's really not. It really isn't, because this show is so bad, like funnily bad. I'm having fun with it. Like I said, I enjoy watching the show because it's so much fun. But that part was okay. Master Chief hooking up with Mackie, it was really cringy. It was a long, like Skinamax type scene, but it's all slow, and they're rubbing each other's scars, and she's got her back to him, and he's behind her kissing her on the neck, and it's so fucking lame. It was so long too. Like the scene itself, I was like, okay, we get it, they're hooking up. And then on top of that, they show Cortana while they're banging, she is watching them. It was so creepy. It was like this, she's like an AI voyeur, like she's a peeper. And and legit, the way that she was watching, the little animated, she looks weird too. I think the Cortana in this show, she just looks fucking weird. I swear I thought they were going to have her bite her lip, like she was going to be attracted or turned on by it. I swear I was like waiting for it, and I was waiting to laugh, but it didn't happen. But she's watching them with like sort of curious eyes. So fucking stupid. But yeah, I think that scene was overdone, stupid. Whole part of it I didn't like. But after that, Mackie, who she has this like implant for her fingernail, and it's like a little lightsaber fingernail. And right after sex, Master Chief or John is asleep. Mackie goes over to the sink, which is like 12 feet away from the bed, no door, no nothing. And she, she's in love with John now. And so she rips it out, like rips her fingernail off. And she's making sound. It's not like it's quiet. John doesn't wake up. He's snoozing. And So it was like she changes from, and like when she infiltrated the humans, or her, went back to the humans from for the Covenant, she was going in to find the artifact so that the Covenant could win and they can reach the Halo and, blah blah blah. And then in like 2 episodes, well, actually just 1 episode, because that was in the show, in the timeline, it's been like 12 hours. Not even, I don't know, maybe 24 hours. She went from, she's all for the Covenant, to meeting John, and she's in love with John, and then she hooks up with John. Now she's against the Covenant, and she's going to work with John and work with the humans. And then when after they hook up, and then some stuff happens, like the fight between Silver Team and John, it's all predicated on the fact that Halsey's trying to intervene from afar, and she's having Silver Team take John into custody, take Mackie into custody, and the artifact, and she wants to escape because she's lost all of her privileges and all of her rights to working with the UNSC. So, and she's been monitoring them, which I don't understand. It's so, that part I don't even want to get into. It's just so dumb. Why would how could she have access to this? Why aren't they watching her? Like, she's the head scientist. She has been the #1 go-to scientist for the UNSC for what they have laid out for a long time, what the show has told us. And then, they know what type of person she is, and all of a sudden they lock her away in her room or in her apartment or whatever, and then she has her right-hand buddy right there to do all the technical work. They know, the UNSC knows about Cortana, but yet she's not under lock and key. No one's watching her, so all the strings that she's pulling in this, in the background to achieve her goal should not have fucking happened. It's so stupid. But anyways, when Silver Team goes to grab John and Mackie, Cortana intervenes. She has John's back and warns him of the trap, and then Mackie runs back to the artifact, and she's trying to get people to listen to her, and it's like, why is she roaming free? Like, she's a prisoner. Like, she is not just, it's so dumb. Ugh. Anyways, I'm gonna go on another fucking tangent. She should not have free reign to just roam around the base. Anyways, she gets all the way to the actual fucking artifact. Like, she gets there, the artifact is in a secure room, and she gets all the way to it without a single fucking person stopping her. Not one person. But anyways, so they don't trust her, and then this one Marine that's been calling her names for the last 24 hours, and she's been in custody or whatever. He shocks her, and then she flashes back to her childhood, and then all of a sudden now she's anti-human again. Now she's all for the Covenant, and then she grabs the artifact, and then John and her meet. They mind meld onto the Halo again, and she leaves him, and that's it. That's the end of the episode. So, there's one thing I did put this note down here. I thought it was fucking funny. Because John doesn't wear his gear. He doesn't wear his suit at all. His armor at all this entire episode. He's fucking naked most of the time. And we see Kai, who is the other Spartan who pulled out her motion suppression chip or whatever the hell it is. That character, we see her, like, they do this like kind of a decent little fun few scenes where they show her showing off her strength, which wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. It was kind of funny, actually. But she takes off her fucking helmet. So she starts questioning the other 2 members of Silver Team, like, why are we going after John? Should we, he's our head guy. Why are we doing this? And she takes her fucking helmet off. And I fucking loved the fact that she took her helmet off, and as soon as she took it off, they're walking. Like, the other 2 Spartans and her are walking, and she's walking behind them. She pulls her helmet off and starts talking, and they just, I can't remember, one of them turns around and just pops her right in the fucking mouth, knocks her ass out cold. Shit was funny right there. Wear your fucking helmet, Spartans. Always wear your helmets. Oh God, so funny. But this show, man, it's a gem. It's a gem of a turd. But yeah, so I'm still watching it, and I'm gonna continue watching it. I gotta see it through. I'm having fun with it. I can't. I have this feeling that uh, John's gonna be a daddy. That's this show is like a fucking soap opera and a really, really, really bad one. So my prediction is that John will have a daughter. That's where I'm going. That's where I think this is where they're going to go with this. John will have a daughter, and Mackie is going to raise her, and yeah, we'll see what happens. So that's my prediction. Okay, that was kind of the end. Yes, was it? Yeah, yeah. And that's funny. There are people who are plotting the show. By the way, I listened to a few different channels talk about this show, and they're like, the show isn't supposed to be like the games. I don't know why Halo fans are stressing. I don't know why people are stressing it. Just turn off your brain and enjoy it. It's supposed to be this way, and they know you knew this was going to happen. So why are you acting like this? And it's like, well, that doesn't mean it doesn't suck. The show sucks on all levels, not just the fact that they're shitting on the lore. It sucks on every sort of writing, you know, writing, characterizations, character in general, storyline, everything. Everything is trash. Everything. So, but I guess if you turn off your brain, you can enjoy it. So try that. Try turning your brain off and then go and watch Halo, and maybe you'll love it. I don't know. All right. So let's move on to some gaming news here. First up is Gotham Knights, which got a release date just like a week or two ago, and I talked about it. There was an article that came out. It's on Destructoid that the developer has said that Gotham Knights will not be on previous console. This will be current gen only. So Xbox One, Series X and S, and PS5, and I think PC. So this is on Destructoid. This was by Chris Carter. Gotham Knights dated for October is a current gen exclusive. So it says Gotham Knights is out on October 25th, 2022. This morning, as promised, WB Games has unveiled more info on Gotham Knights, and we finally have a release date, folks. Blah blah blah. Oh, here we go. So here is a particularly interesting tidbit. A WB rep has informed Destructoid that, quote, in order to provide players with the best possible gameplay experience, the game will release on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, and will not be available on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One consoles. Yep, that's the Gotham Knights current gen situation, and every single era elicits its own set of polarizing responses to the news depending on the timing. That's part of the article. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have read that. It kind of sounded weird. So they talk. It's not a bad article. They talk about their opinion on it and shit. And there's a 13-minute video of a walkthrough. And to be honest with you, I hadn't seen this, so I actually watched this 13-minute gameplay, and it's of Red Hood and Nightwing. So, and I did have some notes on it. Okay, so let's stick with the article for just 1 second. Do I think it's cool that it's going to be current gen only? Me personally, and I know this is I'm speaking from a position that I actually have a current gen console. I do own a PS5, luckily. I get it if you only have an Xbox One or PS4. I understand the gripe. I understand that sucks and that's not good news. So I don't want to. I'm not trying to finger wag and say, haha, just get a new console and all problems are solved. Inflation is a bitch. Money is tight. Chip shortages. All kinds of crazy shit's going on right now. So if you can't afford a console, it sucks, and it really does. Like, genuinely sucks. And I'm very thankful to have gotten one. But in the gaming space and just the console cycle, like where we are in the console cycle and when we switch from one console to the next, I think that we are on par to start seeing games that are current gen only and they won't come out on the previous consoles. Me personally, what I think the solution is I think all developers excuse me, I think all developers should be developing games for the current hardware, the most powerful hardware, and then releasing previous gen versions. I think that's the solution, and I think they are leaving a lot of money on the table if they don't do that. So if they just shut the door entirely and say, sorry, old Xboxers and PlayStation 4 owners, you're just shit out of luck. I think they're leaving a lot of money on the table because there is a lot of fucking consoles out there. I think PS4s. I don't know. I know I'm pretty sure it's like over 100 million PS4s are in the wild, and I think Xbox Ones they're like in the 60 millions. I think there's like 60 plus million Xbox consoles. Xbox One, the previous gen console, in the wild. So you know. 160 million copies you could possibly be sold to, a bunch of people who don't have the current gen console. Yeah, fucking make it right, WB. So that's my opinion. That's what I think on that. Now, I'm also excited because when games, or developers I should say, when developers make make the game for the current console, they don't have to hinder their development at all. They don't have to develop a game for the lowest denominator. And I think that's a good thing. Now is the time to start breaking away, start pushing the console, push the PS5, push the Series X. Let's see what they can do, and I'm all for it. This game, however, I really don't think this game looks like a PS5 game. Now, when you're watching a video online, I get it. There's compression issues where you think you might be streaming, like a 1080p or even a 4K. It's not really true 4K. It's not, because it's streaming. It really just depends on your internet. I have good internet speed. I don't have fiber, but I do have a good bandwidth. So I mean, I've seen beautiful trailers that I've played on this laptop using my internet that when I saw them, I was like, wow, that looks really fucking good. This one is not one of them. This 13-minute gameplay walkthrough, I didn't think it looked that good. I thought the combat. So let's go through this real quick. So I have some notes. The combat myself, I think it looked okay, but it looked like the fighting and stuff. It looked traditional, sort of Arkham style, but it didn't have the panache that the Arkham games have had. The combat looked a little floaty, like when you're watching Nightwing and his combat, like the maneuvers and stuff, the animation that he was doing while he was fighting these bad guys. He made some cool flippies and stuff like that and looked all right, but he was like floating around. He was like sliding to different, it just didn't look smooth, and it looked, I don't know, just floaty is kind of the best way I can describe it. It didn't look nice and precise, and obviously they were playing the game on easy mode because the bad guys didn't really do shit. They were just sort of dummies, like test dummies just standing around. The Nightwing combat I thought was okay. The Red Hood combat I thought it's different because he uses guns, non-lethal guns. They make a point to say that, but I just didn't see anything that blew me away. And I had my hopes up for this game because I really like the Arkham games and I was looking forward to the next Arkham game. But the animations themselves were neat. They looked cool, but just the combat didn't look that clean. They show some gear. They show some like a what do you call it? Like a menu screen where you can see your character and change like their gear and stuff. And some of the gear looked really cool, but I saw the gear had its what do you call it? Like a gear type. So, and it was very like Destiny. It was like common, legendary, heroic, and common looked more plain, and it had stats like armor and life and excuse me, sorry. This is getting me. Sorry about that. The gear itself, like when they switched to like legendary, it looked better, it was flashier, it looked cooler, and then heroic obviously looked the most cool. So I think that they're going for that traditional. It's sort of like a looter, it's like a not a looter shooter, but like a loot game where you're gonna get gear drops and shit. That's what it looks like. Now, I'm not saying that might not be the case. It might be some stuff where you just unlock when you do a certain mission or you complete certain tasks. Then you get those suits for rewards. But it definitely had the Destiny feel to me. The frame rate looked really bad. The way and the frame rate, like, I'm sure you know what that means, but it was really choppy. Like the motion when the camera turned, and like there was a couple of shots where like vehicles were moving. It looked really bad. Like the vehicle was like chopping away, and I mean it looked like it was operating at like 20 FPS when it should be us. Like I mean, if it's on current gen hardware, it should be 30 frames, locked smooth as 30 frames can get. But that would be like if the graphics were sort of not 4K and toned down. I think we've reached a point now where 60 frames is sort of the standard. I don't think 30 frames is acceptable. I just don't. And I used to not really give a shit about frame rates, but now I do, because now that I play games in 60 frames, it looks fucking great. And going back to 30 is kind of hard on my eyes. It looks like shit. So I think that part of it didn't look good. There's there they show the characters like standing on like the edges of buildings and looking out over the city a little bit. I thought the city looked generic. It looked like it just looked like boxes. It looked like very generic shaped buildings, boxes, instead of like different unique building styles. You know, you look at architecture in any sort of city, and every building has some differences to it, and there's always like one or two, like every three or four buildings, there's like some weird, crazy architectural design that makes it stand out. And I didn't see that. I thought it looked pretty fucking generic. It legit just looked like Lego boxes to me. The textures looked very flat when because we see Nightwing infiltrating. He's on a mission and he infiltrates like the Court of Owls. That's the storyline. The textures I thought looked flat. I thought it looked very. There was the like the door. He walks up to a door and it just looks very flat. It didn't look like realistic in any way. I didn't think the lighting looked good. The definitely no ray tracing going on there. It looked poor. The character animations, when they're like, there's a cutscene you get to see, and you get to see their home base, like the Gotham Knights. They have like a little home base where you can go back to, and I don't know what the hell, change your loot probably, and check in with Alfred, and I don't know. It was, that part's okay. That's whatever. But it just didn't look alive to me. You know, games nowadays, the good ones, you know, the environments look lived in. You know, you think of a game, and I've never played it, but I've watched videos of The Last of Us 2. That game looks fucking amazing. That game looks really, really good. And it looks alive. Like when you're in those environments and wandering, you know, through buildings and houses, it looks like people have been there. It looks like they have done a great job of like telling a story with just the layout. This game looked very generic. Looked very samey to me. So, and the game releases in October. That's like 5 months away. Man, I don't know. I don't know if they can. I don't know how much more they can get out of this game now. Like, I don't know. And it really surprised me that, you know, this is what it looks like, and it's current gen only. So, yeah, it was kind of a bummer. So, you know, I was excited to see the current, and again, I don't know how old that trailer was. I hadn't seen that trailer before. I've seen a couple other trailers. I watched like a pre-alpha build. There's like a cinematic trailer that showed some just whatever CGI shit. But this is the first time I've seen that trailer, so I don't know how old it was. But to me, it just didn't look good. So I don't know. Doesn't look. I don't think it looks good for this game. All right, so let's talk about Overwatch. Now, I'm not an Overwatch guy. Okay, that's a Blizzard game, if I'm not mistaken. Blizzard, Activision, whatever. Overwatch is a first-person shooter, hero shooter style, / hero shooter. It's, to me, it looks okay. It doesn't do anything for me, but Overwatch, the first game, was a really big hit. And it won Game of the Year in 2015 or something like that, 2016. I thought that year that Uncharted 4 got snubbed for this game, but I get it. Uncharted is, you know, it's the fourth iteration, the fourth game, but that game was still really cool. And I just, for this game to win Game of the Year, if you go back and look at the nominees, Uncharted 4 was really the only other game that was like, holy shit. You know, there was like an indie title called Inside that was up for Game of the Year, like a little small game. So it was slim pickings that year, but whatever. Credit where credit's due. They won Game of the Year. So I know it's very popular. I'm not looking forward to Overwatch 2, but apparently they dropped a beta. This is a Forbes article, and Forbes, I don't know what's going on. Like Forbes, all of a sudden, like the place to go. When I look up articles and shit, when I look up some of these stories, I mean, Forbes is kind of like a good little spot to go to. They really spend time to actually write articles about their shit. So gaming, I should say. All right, so it says here, this is a Paul Tassi article. Overwatch 2 has lost 99% of its Twitch audience in 1 week. So they launched a beta. Actually, let's just read the article. It says it right here. So the Overwatch 2 beta launched last week, a pivot of the original plan for the game, which was going to be a grand release of both a multiplayer overhaul and single-player content. But Blizzard has decided the multiplayer revamp needed to be pushed live sooner so the game can go back to getting updates again, and for a moment there, it looked like Overwatch was set to have a massive resurgence in popularity. But a week makes quite a difference, and gamers have a short attention span if they are not kept engaged. That's very true. Overwatch 2 absolutely shattered records with 1.5 million congruent viewers on Twitch, boosted partially by people wanting to check out more or less every big name streamer on the platform playing the game, while others were motivated by beta access drops that were going on during streams so they could get in themselves. But the enthusiasm seems to have been short-lived. About a week after the record was set, Overwatch has lost 99% of those viewers. At the time of this writing, viewership is down from the peak of 1.5 million to 15,000. Granted, it's off hours, but that still points it outside the top 20 most watched games on Twitch and indicates that no, we probably will not see Overwatch routinely among the top games again, given that most big streamers went back to their usual fare, be that Fortnite, CSGO, Valorant, League of Legends, Apex Legends, Warzone, etc. I would expect these numbers to spike for actual esports events, but again, the idea is that despite that massive upswing in interest, that does not seem to have made a lasting impression on most viewers who were there either A, to watch big streamers play, or B, secure beta access for themselves. So, excuse me. So to me, and like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this is all secondhand knowledge. I didn't watch it, had no interest in it. Overwatch is not my thing, but it sounded like, from what I heard, a lot of streamers and content creators say, was that this looked more like a DLC or a patch and not like an actual true sequel. It was a lot of more of the same shit. Nothing really blew anybody's hair back. And again, to have that many people show up on day one just to watch people play the beta and to hopefully get access to the beta themselves, that tells you there is a hunger for this game. So there is a lot of fans out there who want Overwatch and they want it to be successful and they want it to be good. This is sort of indicative of what's going on with Blizzard. I think Blizzard, Blizzard to me, they're bleeding subs on WoW due to lack of content. They're bleeding Diablo 3 for all it's worth. That game came out 10 years ago, Diablo 3 did, or Diablo Reaper of Souls or whatever the fuck it was. It's been like 10 years and that game is still giving updates and they're treating it like some sort of live service game. And you're talking to a guy who actually loves Reaper of Souls. I really enjoy Diablo Reaper of Souls. It's one of those games where I just go back in when I see a new season's coming. I'll just go in, create a character, and just run through and do all the, what do they call them, the rifts and stuff like that. And I'll knock out, a few weeks just playing, just to get gear and have fun. It's a fun game. But they're still just bleeding that game dry instead of having an actual proper Diablo 4. And that's what Blizzard's been doing for a long time. They're resting on their laurels. They're banking on the subscriptions from WoW. They're losing those. So and it's just so funny that they're losing they're losing subscriptions on WoW, and now they're starting to kind of talk more about Diablo 4 and finally getting the next game out, which it's just bullshit. So I really don't. I think Blizzard, as much as I like Blizzard, like what they used to do, I think now they're just more and more corporate. That's all they give a shit about is making the money. And fuck them, If Overwatch 2 sucks, so be it. And it really wouldn't surprise me. But the way they treat their fans, the way they treat the IP and the games that they make, I mean, I wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me that this would just suck. That this game, that they would put the minimal amount of effort to get the maximum amount of profits. It's kind of their thing. So, and if you're an Overwatch fan, and I'm sorry, that sucks. If you're looking for the next big Overwatch thing, you might be waiting a little bit longer. All right, moving on to looks like Xbox had some server outages. So this is an article on Video Games Chronicle by Tim Ivan, and this actually brings up kind of a bigger issue. Let's see here. Let's see. So here's the article. Microsoft plans to fully fix Xbox server outages via an update in the coming days. The issue has stopped some console owners from playing games they own since Friday. This happened like a week ago. Yeah, I think this happened. Yeah, I think it was last Friday. So it's been like, today's Sunday, so like 10 days or whatever, 9 days, 8 days. Regardless, it says Microsoft has said it expects to fully resolve recent Xbox server outages with a new update in the near future. The server problems, which were first acknowledged by Xbox support team on Friday, have resulted in some console owners being unable to launch games that they own for 4 days. In an update on Monday, the platform holder claimed there has been a major improvement in the situation, but said it didn't expect to fully fix the issue for a few days. When they tweeted this was on May 9th. We've seen significant improvement to the issue that has prevented some users from purchasing and launching games. We expect full mitigation in the coming days with the rollout of a new update. Let's see. There's some other stuff. Oh, here we go. So according to Does It Play, a Twitter account dedicated to testing commercial releases to ensure they work entirely internet-free, the majority of Xbox games require an online check before they'll boot. Quote, they absolutely do not have them on PlayStation or Switch, end quote. Trust us, we've tested them. That's another quote. It says, it added, if the PlayStation servers go down tomorrow permanently, every single player game you own will work offline almost permanently, provided console is working and an account was linked. There are a tiny subset of titles that will not. Quote, Xbox needs to fix their DRM problems. Hand waving won't help. Nobody wins, especially Xbox fans, when all the catalog eventually becomes inaccessible. So let's talk about DRM for a second. What that stands for is digital rights management, and that's essentially, that just means it's a way that Xbox or any console, any game maker essentially can do this, or any console maker, so that when you buy a game for your system, the digital rights management, DRM, that's what it's called. So DRM, the DRM that's locked into the game or written into the code of the game essentially means you have to check in online with Xbox servers, and the servers will verify that you are the actual purchaser and you have bought the rights to the game, and then it says, okay, you can play it. Now, if you lose the server connection, then you cannot play those games because it needs to check in and verify that you own it. They introduced this, Xbox, with their Xbox One launch to just the ire of fans. It was a real big sore spot for Xbox fans, console buyers and gamers in general. It was such a misstep, and no one understood it at the time. And Xbox used security as their way in to put that in, and they didn't think anybody was going to really care. When you buy a game digitally, You are buying the rights to that game. You're buying the right to buy it. You don't physically own that game. Now, your rights can expire, and any of those, Nintendo's done this. I think Sony has done it. They can kill those rights and say those games don't work anymore. And it's that's why I think it's more. I think buying physical media is more in vogue right now. I think more people want to do that because when you have the disc, you always own that disc, and the game is all on the disc. You're good. You just put it in your console and you play it. I know digital is a lot easier. I've gone that way. It's just simpler. Preload your shit on your console. You play it the second it's released. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to wait for it a day later to come in from Amazon or wherever you're ordering it from, Target or Best Buy. So I understand it. I understand the convenience of it, but this is, to me, this is like even a step worse, because this means you can actually have the disc, put it in your console, and because your console doesn't talk to their servers and tell them or ask them for permission to play it, that fucking disc is worthless. That is fucking stupid. When it happened all those years ago when they launched the Xbox One, very poorly by the way, that was one of the things that Xbox fans in general were just fucking, they were out on. They wanted nothing to do with it, and I thought they had every right to be upset. I think that, and furthermore, they sort of, I don't know, this sort of, it went away. Like the talk of DRM and Xbox just sort of faded into the background. Even myself, and I've been involved in gaming for all these years, I didn't actually know that this was still a problem. I thought they had cut the cord on that. I thought that they severed that DRM license permissions thing. I really did. And I guess so the servers went down for like 2 days last week, and no one could play. If you had an Xbox, you couldn't fucking get online and play any of your games. You couldn't play any games you even had discs of. So, and it didn't, and I'm not talking about, and let's be very clear, it doesn't just mean like PvP games, PvP, games where you play with other real people online, like Xbox Live or whatever, not like Call of Duty or, Battlefield or whatever, or Halo. Actual games that are just a single player only game where you're just going to play by yourself and play through the story. Even those games you couldn't play. So I think this kind of is a big chink in their armor it's like, you can't do this. You cannot have, this can't be the way Microsoft, and I'd be fucking pissed. I've had, so I've, PlayStation Online, their service and stuff, they've had outages before too. You go to play games and you can't sign in. You can't, listen, this isn't like an Xbox only thing, but if you have the disc, you can play your game. So if the server goes, if the things go down, you can't log into the internet. If you want to play a game that's not an online game, you can still fucking play it. And I just think, well, except for GT7, which is a fucking big mistake, but I just think that this looks bad. And when they launched this shit, Sony was trolling them fucking really hard. There's a really funny video that the old, I forgot their titles. It's like the CEO or whatever, but what was his name? Yuhei Yoshida, I think this is his name. Really funny, nice, very funny guy. He was kind of like the guy who would come out and talk at their E3 press conferences and stuff. He was a really nice guy, and there was another guy too. But Xbox had their game sharing program that they were rolling out with their Xbox One console, where if you wanted to share a game with someone, you could share a game with up to 5 friends, or it might have been 10. Regardless, you had a certain amount of people, or a number of people that you could share your games with. And it was like this real technical bullshit, and it was a pain in the ass. And then PlayStation launched this little like 30-second commercial of how do you share a game on PlayStation 4, and they show Yoshida holding the game, and then it's like step 2, and he's like holding it, and step 2 he hands it to the guy, and the other guy grabs it and he holds it up, and it's like, that's how you share a game on PlayStation. Shit was fucking funny, and it was a hard dig at Xbox, and it's to this day, I guess, it's still a problem, and I didn't know that. So doesn't look good for Xbox. And that, I mean, I'd be pissed. Man, I'd be fucking pissed if I was an Xbox owner. But I'm not. Okay. So this next one, this next story. So apparently Mafia 4 is in production. This is a Game Rant article written by Dalton Cooper. Um, let's see. And this is a rumor, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. But it just says rumor Mafia 4 is in development. Or, I'm sorry, in development using Unreal Engine 5. According to a new report, Mafia series developer Hangar 13 may be working on Mafia 4, building the game with Unreal Engine 4. So it there was the one part that I wanted to talk about here. They talk about it being, here we go. Yeah, so this is actually going to be a prequel to the the original Mafia games. So they had Mafia 1, never played it. Mafia 2, played it and really liked it. It had its setbacks for sure. It was a fake open world. And what I mean by that is, like, it played and looked like you were in an open world, like you can open a map and look at the city and stuff, but you couldn't really drive to anywhere and do anything and play the story in whatever pace you wanted to. It was very specific. Every mission ended, you'd go to this place, you would turn in your whatever, finish that part of the story, and then the next mission would come up, and then you would just drive over to the next place. It was a complete farce. It was not an open world. You can drive around the city all you wanted, but you couldn't do a fucking thing. You couldn't do anything. No side games, no nothing. You couldn't gamble. You couldn't, be a taxi driver. You couldn't, do anything. It was just playing the story. So it really wasn't an open world game. However, it was a really classic story, like a mob boss type story, and it had some really good moments. Like that was a great story, and I really enjoyed it. The gameplay was decent, and it wasn't fucking amazing, but the gameplay was fun enough, and the story was awesome. I really liked that story. So, but the third one that came out, and that was Mafia 2. Mafia 3, I wanted to play it, and then I read some reviews, and all of them had sort of the same thing to say. It got very repetitive, and the systems that they were trying to integrate really didn't work that well, but it sounded pretty cool. And the protagonist was basically a guy he came home from the Vietnam War, and he was I think it was set in like a fictional town of like Louisiana or something like that. So, but it was the South, and you're driving muscle cars and you're building up your crew, and you have to like balance the power between each of your lieutenants and stuff. And if you give them a task or a job, it might upset another person in your crew. You might have to deal with that. All the premises sounded really good, and the trailers looked good, the gameplay looked good, but from what I understand, Hangar 13, who is the developer, didn't have or doesn't have the chops to make a true open world game, because every open world game, let's be honest, any modern game gets compared to Grand Theft Auto. You're not going to escape that. There's nothing you can do about that. And when it came to measuring up against GTA, it didn't hold. It couldn't hold its own. So I'm looking forward to this. If they're making another one, I think, there's been that game came out, what was it? 2016. So Mafia 3 came out in 2016. It's been 6 years. So hopefully they have it. Hopefully it's a much better, fully realized open world game. They're developing the game on Unreal Engine 4, which they just released on Unreal Engine 5. So no problem there. It's not the latest engine, but you can still make great games on Unreal Engine 4. So hopefully they get it together. I would really love to play a cool Mafia game, because it really is. It's like, if you've ever seen like Casino or Goodfellas, or what's another good one? Godfather. That's really what these stories are about. Like, it's about mob boss family or mafia families, and with Mafia 2 was really cool because I still remember the game opens up and you're playing in like World War II. You're a soldier, And I was like, what the fuck? What thought this was a Mafia game? And then you you get out of the army or the military or whatever, and you're coming home, and you're driving into the town, into the city that your home city, and it's where the game takes place. It's a snowy night, and it was really cool. And I remember that it was really neat. But then, like I said, the open world was just, it was a farce. It was really, it really was not an open world. As much as the game claims it is, it was not. But it was still a really good game. So I would love to see them have a modern open world game with that type of writing. Man, they can make something special. So all right, I'm going to read this next one. There's an article here from the Washington Post that was written by Gene Park. And this isn't I'm not trying to just shit on Xbox, even though there's some big news that we're going to get into here real quick. And I do have some choice words for Xbox and just some of the Sony haters out there. It's getting crazy. Where was that article? Yeah, this is a Washington Post. That's right. So this article is written by Gene Park. It says Halo Infinite should have been delayed again. Season 2 is proof. This is actually a decent article. This person says they play the game, so but I do want to read some of this article because it's a good one. Because Halo just got the announcement a week ago or 2 weeks ago that Season 2 is going to be 6 months long. There's no Forge mode. There's no co-op campaign. It's missing a lot of features, and they're having just problems with this game. It's not the great game that everyone said it was last year. Like, this game came out to like all these great reviews. Everyone was drooling over it. Xbox One 2021. That was the phrase. And now look at them now. There's no defending this game right now. You just can't. Even if you like it, even if you're playing the game currently and you're like, man, what's wrong with you? You're just shitting on the game. No, there's missing things. You can't deny the fact that this game is incomplete. So it says, let's read some of this. It's time to admit the truth. Halo Infinite needed more than a year's delay. Longtime Halo fans have understood this about Infinite since its December launch last year. Half a year later, it remains shockingly and sadly true. To this day, the game still lacks core features from previous Halo titles, most notably cooperative play for its story, the creative, quote, Forge mode, and broader multiplayer map pool. Delaying Infinite to this year would have also solved Xbox's latest problem. Starfield, the highly anticipated next game from Bethesda's game studios, is delayed to 2023. The studio announced on Thursday. We're going to cover that. I got a lot to say about that one. This is a huge blow to the marketability of Xbox growing subscription-based Game Pass. Think of Netflix for games, which is meant to be supported by Xbox suite of first-party exclusive titles. Now, without Starfield, the service is mostly propped up by older games, quality indie titles, and half-finished Halo Infinite. Half-finished, that's kind of harsh. Halo developer 343 Studios is trying their best to make Infinite feature complete, and its second season, which launched in early May, is a small step forward. But as a longtime player of the Halo series, and someone who has tried to love the multiplayer live service of Infinite, it's hard to ignore that the game is flawed at a fundamental level. Excuse me. Here's how Infinite remains a flawed live service. All player progression is tied to completing arbitrary challenges set by the developers. This season, there's a fun new mode called, quote, Last Spartan Standing, a twist on the classic gun mode of playing and being rewarded with increasingly powerful weaponry in that match. Yet for me to progress in the current limited time event and gain new rewards and cosmetic gear, I need to complete a challenge that requires me to hit other players in the back of the head 25 times. Reminder, the Halo series is a game about guns and shooting things. Asking players to punch others in the back of their head 25 times is counterintuitive to the entire premise of the game, the series, even the genre. The developers keep promising with each update that they'll fix challenges to make them more accessible. Yet at the launch of an update meant to last players through November, these counterintuitive challenges still appear. And 343 Studios insists that they are working on a progression system tied to metrics beyond challenges, but that the work is going to take a long time. That's a tacit admission to my ears, and at least they are recognizing centering the game's multiplayer around a challenge system was the wrong move from the start. I don't know if delaying Infinite would have helped 343 Studios realize this earlier. It wasn't until massive player backlash that the developers began to reconsider the system they built for the game. But even outside of the anxiety-inducing and frustrating challenges, the game is a shell of what it could be, and longtime Halo players understand this because they had meatier, more satisfying experiences in every other Halo game before Infinite. I think I can make a strong case that Halo Infinite can be reasonably compared to Cyberpunk 2077, the game that saw many delays and became infamous for being one of the most disastrous big-budget video game launches in history. Yes, that game was buggy in ways that Halo Infinite isn't, for the most part, but the disappointment around Cyberpunk 2077 goes beyond glitches. The game was sold to players as an immersive experience where one could reasonably live in its futuristic city, yet the final product was a standard by-the-numbers open-world game a la Grand Theft Auto. That's not even a fair comparison. That part, I question if this guy's even played those two games because, Grand Theft Auto is not by the numbers. I would disagree with that. The actual immersive cyberpunk virtual reality that players dreamed of is not the final product, and to realize it would require basically creating a new game from the ground up. Updates won't fix it. So this article keeps going on, and they talk more about Starfield and other stuff, but this is a good read, and I liked this article for the fact that, and I'm not going to talk about Starfield yet and Redfall. It's coming, but I really think that, to me, this has been Microsoft's problem. They aren't giving the fans, their actual paying customers, they're not giving them what they want. And they're not giving them what, frankly, they deserve because they pay them. I know people, when you say that, for some reason, people fucking spurg out and they're like, oh, really? You deserve it? Wow, you're so fucking entitled. And it's like, no. I paid for it. So if I pay for a large pizza with pepperoni and I get a large hamburger with no cheese, just a bun, I think I have a fucking right to complain. Or if I get a pizza that is a small personal pan pizza with fucking anchovies and peppers and pineapples, which pineapples do not belong on pizza. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. That's not what I paid for. So as a paying customer, I think that people have earned the right and they deserve to get what they pay for, especially when they're being promised things that they're not getting. So I read this article. I was actually looking at it. I was looking for a different article, and that one popped up, and I was like, what? So I read it, and I was surprised, coming from a publication like that, which, whatever, media is trash anyways, but I was just surprised to see it there. And I think that Xbox has a real problem. Microsoft has a real problem with how they are managing their studios. I think it's constantly being ignored. And I think 343 needs to be held accountable, along with Uncle Phil, for what's going on with Halo. This is the franchise. There's only 3 tentpole franchises that Microsoft needs to make spectacular every single time. Only 3. Halo, Gears of War, and Horizon. Forza Horizon or Forza Motorsport. They're basically the same type of game, racing game. You can't have these turds. You just can't do it. They have to hit every time. And it bugs the shit out of me that when this game came out, no one could say a bad thing about it. Everyone, and even the things that were, quote, bad or that were drawbacks to the game were completely overlooked for their, quote, score. That's why I don't like scoring. I think that, if this game was reviewed honestly and looked at through, just reviewer eyes, as opposed to, just sort of fans, freaking out like, oh my God, I'm playing Halo again. It's the latest and greatest. Or it's on Xbox and we need Xbox to look really good. I think the scoring would be a hell of a lot lower than what it is. And I also was listening to like I said, been listening to a lot of different streamers and creators, and I listened to this one guy, and I'm not going to name him because honestly I don't really remember them, and because I never heard of them before, but I'm not trying to shit on them. But here goes. I say that. I always cracks me when people do that. They're like, listen, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but here goes, and then they go into being a total fucking jerk. So I am going to talk a little shit on them, but like I said, I'm not going to name them. The things that these couple of guys were on this stream talking, and they were basically saying that Halo needs to be fun, and the conversation actually started on the talking about the Halo series, the TV series, which is a joke. That's where it started, and then the conversation sort of morphed into this idea that Halo, the game itself, needs to be more fun. And why aren't games fun? And then they were comparing it to fucking Fortnite. And the guy was saying, I was playing Fortnite a couple nights with my friends, and I had so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And he was playing as this character. And my costume was this character. And this other person these other two people had the same costume on. And we were on a tank, and we're all in the tank, and we're just mashing down this hill, lighting up different characters from other games. Because if you don't know, Fortnite, which is, just a world phenomenon right now, the part of the charm is like they introduce these characters from other games as like cameos almost, and you can play as like Master Chief. You can play that. You can play, I think, as Marcus Phoenix, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But characters like that, prominent characters from other IP, Marvel got their hands in it. Or you could play as like Captain America, I think, or Hulk or whatever. But the guy was saying how we were having so much fun, and we're just laughing, and we're kicking ass, and we're just having a great time. And he said, why can't Halo be like that? What the fuck are you talking about? What do you like? That's not Halo. That's not what Halo is. And to say that is like, there's such a disconnect there in the justification of, like I said, the person was trying to justify that, fans from the Halo fans were criticizing the TV series, and they really he's really tired of listening to Halo fans be so strict about what goes on this TV series. Have fun with it, let them do their own thing. And then he morphed it into, why aren't they doing these types of Fortnite shit in Halo games? Because it's not fucking Fortnite. It's just not. And that argument was fucking weird to me. It really, I stopped and I was like, wait, what am I listening to? Because I like to listen to streams and podcasts and stuff. Like it depends on what type of game I'm playing. Right now I'm playing XCOM Enemy Unknown 2. And it's a strategy type game, and it's like playing chess, science fiction chess almost, but it's way more than that. It's so much fun. Love that game. But you don't have to like it's not like a reaction based. I don't have to be like focused and like trying to shoot anybody or run from anybody. It's all about strategy and placing your soldiers in the right spots and getting angles and flanks and shit. So I don't really have to like I can stop whenever I want. I can set the controller down whenever I want. And I was listening to this guy, these two guys, and the other guy was like agreeing with him, and they're like, yeah, this is crazy, man. I don't know why these people are being like this. And I just thought, is this where we're at now? Like, this is what we're doing? Like, you're trying to defend a shitty fucking TV show, and then now you're trying to say that you want fucking Halo to be like Fortnite? Get fucked, buddy. No, you don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about. That's like saying, why can't we have Mary Poppins, in Star Wars? Like, it's like that defending of Leia flying through space like Mary Poppins. Like, what's wrong with that? Why can't you just accept that? And it's like, because it's shit. And it doesn't fit the lore, and it's weird, and it caught everyone off guard, and it fucking looked dumb as shit. It made no sense. And that's the argument. Like, that's what this guy's argument was. This is like, oh God, it was so fucking stupid. So anyways, let's move along. I got plenty to say about Microsoft. I just go read that article. I thought it was good. Like I said, it was on the Washington Post by Gene Park, and he makes some good points. I actually like the article. And I don't read a lot of like publications like that. I'm not a big fan of those. But the next thing here is, this is about Ubisoft. And I talked about this a couple weeks ago, and it was how I was saying that Ubisoft is shopping for suitors. They're shopping for someone to buy them. And a lot of people were throwing out, Xbox and Sony, whatever. And I made the case that, Sony would, if Sony got a hold of their IP, they could really do something special with them. This article, I guess, that came out. This came out. I'm reading this Game Daily Biz by John Yelenick. I think that's how you say his name or her name. Sorry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just terrible at reading. Let's see here. No. And no. Here we go. Game Daily Biz. So, Guillemot family reportedly considering partnering with private equity firm to acquire Ubisoft. So, Yves Guillemot is the CEO. I think that's his name. And he is like the founder. So, and I guess it's like him. So it says here it's like him and 5 brothers. So it's the Guillemot family, composed of 5 brothers who founded Ubisoft in 1986, are allegedly considering teaming up with a private equity firm to acquire the French game company, as reported Equity's news service Deal Reporter via Seeking Alpha on Wednesday. So this is the guy who was, talking about like a hostile takeover from this other big corporation called Vivendi, and he made a big stink about it and said this was dangerous for gaming and that they don't want to lose creative power over their IP, and they don't want some big business to come in and just crush their IP and make them do shit they don't want to do. Okay, that's fair. I get it. That's fine. And then like a week later. So then you fast forward a year or two, whatever. They're not doing so well, and now they're talking about, oh yeah, we wouldn't mind being chopped. And now they come out again a couple weeks later and they say how they think that it's best. They want to start shopping specific like equity firms. So what I hear from this article, and go check it out. I'm not going to read much of it. Everyone, it's kind of whatever. I just thought it was interesting because this keeps happening. This keeps popping up in the news. But you can't be fucking selective, Ubisoft. Sorry, you're in no position to be picky, and it just sounds like it's not like they want to team up with someone. They want someone else's money because they are. I personally don't think they're making the money they used to make. That's just my opinion. If you look at their library of games, like look what they've done with Assassin's Creed, and not a lot of people aren't liking that game right now. You look at Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which was a fucking turd. No one liked it. It's almost completely abandoned at this point. You look at a game like what was it? God, what was the other? There's another game, I forgot to write it down. It's a battle royale game, but it's with the Tom Clancy brand, because the Ubisoft owns the rights to the Tom Clancy brand. So Tom Clancy, the author of all those books and the movies that are all based on like Sum of All Fears and Patriot Games and good movies. They're all based off of books from an author named Tom Clancy. They own the rights to their games, and they've made some decent ones. I'm not saying that they haven't made any, but they've completely shelved one of the most, I'd say probably the most wanted game, which is Splinter Cell. Like, they have not made a sequel to that game in years, and they're just sitting on it. And it seems like such a waste. And they keep trying to force these sort of games of service, these sort of Destiny / Fortnite style games, these heroes type games, these open world, you can play any way you want and play with all your friends and all this other shit. And it's not working for them. What they're doing with Assassin's Creed, they're doing it's called Assassin's Creed Infinity, and it's like a never ending Assassin's Creed game that's a live service game that just gets updates, which means what exactly? I don't know. I don't know what that means. But I do know that the choices that they're making right now, they're not making good ones. And they have made decisions in the past creatively that I thought were strong. You look at a game like For Honor. You look at, there was that one game that just came out, like that downhill racing, or like BMX or mountain biking, and squirrel suit, and snowboarding and skiing, like that type. They do things like that. They were being sort of creative, and they kind of still do it, but they have really pushed the live service model, and they're taking a lot of their games and the IPs that they own, and they're trying to cram this sort of one size fits all, let's like get rich quick Fortnite style
They're trying to capture it, and they're never going to do it.
They have been pushing this trash, and they continue to push this trash. You look at a game like Skull and Bones, which no one wanted, no one asked for. It's naval combat that was really good in Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed 4. Make another Assassin's Creed game on the high seas. Why aren't you doing that? They're not, because they want to try to make some sort of this Skull and Bones game, which has just been in development hell for fucking like 7 years now. They want to make another game that's a live service game where they can milk people with, or gamers with, microtransactions and season passes and shit like that. And they have really made their bed, and they've made their corporate bed, and they need to fucking just lie in it. And personally, I think them, the Gilmore family coming out, and Yves Gilmore saying the shit that he's saying, like, we still want to have creative, blah blah blah. We just want people's money. Fuck off. They are really, they have taken a turn, and furthermore, they also have allegations of like sexual harassment in the workplace, and it's just not looking good for Ubisoft. And it's so crazy because 4 years ago they were really on top of the world. 5 years ago, they were really, when like, Far Cry 4 came out, the reinvention of Assassin's Creed, going from Unity to Origins, and they were just clicking. Rainbow Six Siege was out, which is still a hit to this day. They had a lot going for them, and they have just squandered it. And it's all for corporate greed, just money. So, yeah, I don't feel bad for them. And this to me, it just sounds like so desperate. It just sounds like, it just sounds like corporate speak. And I don't know anybody who would want to court them. And if they did, I don't think they're going to be, I don't think anyone who comes in to buy them is going to be like, oh, yeah, no, we'll give you all our money. Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Unless they want to come in and say, yeah, you're going to turn everything into a live service game, which, again, Ubisoft kind of wants to do that anyway. So I don't know what their fucking point is. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Just a little more like tidbits about this. Them being bought keeps coming out, and with all the acquisitions that are going on right now with Microsoft and Sony buying up these studios and publishers and shit, it just, it's kind of the season of that right now, and it's where we're heading. It's an arms race, and we'll just see who grabs them up. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. This is the big news from this last week, and I have a lot of notes here, so hopefully I can get through these at a decent pace here, because I listened to, I don't even know how many streams. I've clicked on so many videos, just sort of getting the temperature of what Xbox fans and Sony fans are talking about. So this week, Bethesda Studios announced that Redfall and Starfield will be delayed. Let's see here. So this is their tweet. So we'll start with this. We've made the decision to delay the launches of Redfall and Starfield to the first half of 2023. The teams at Arcane Austin, Redfall, and Bethesda Game Studios, Starfield, have incredible ambitions for their games, and we want to ensure that you receive the best, most polished versions of them. We want to thank everyone for their excitement for Redfall and Starfield. That energy is a huge part of what inspires all of us every day and drives our own excitement for what we are creating. We can't wait to share our first deep dive into the gameplay for both Redfall and Starfield soon. Thank you for your support. So, Redfall and Starfield were supposed to come out this year, sometime in the fall. These are Bethesda Studios, which are now owned by Microsoft. So the deal is still being worked out, as far as I understand. I think. I actually know they might be done. I know the Activision deal is still going through. Regardless, they are a Microsoft studio now. This is very bad for Microsoft, and it's par for the course for Bethesda, but now they're part of Microsoft. So the reason why this is such a big deal is because this, as it stands today, May 15th, 2022, Xbox will not be launching a AAA title, first party game at all the entire year. That's a big fucking no in the gaming industry. You can't do that. You got just at least one game. You can't drop one. So let's I have so many little pieces that I want to get into this. First of all, I want to say one thing. I called this. Okay, I predicted this. I've been saying this for weeks now. The way Bethesda is, I've said it before. I don't trust Todd Howard. I think he's a snake oil salesman. I don't believe him when he says the stuff that they have been dropping, the little tidbits and stuff. Everything but like everything. So the only thing that was being shown was just these little tiny tidbits, and it was like it didn't matter. All of these little tidbits were coming out, and people were still fucking selling it like it was this big thing, like it was the game of the year contender. But I knew this wasn't coming. I knew it. I fucking called it. I didn't say anything about Redfall because really I don't give a shit about that game. Starfield is the game that I was personally interested in because it's a game I would like to play. So this doesn't shock me at all. I want to talk real quick about Redfall, and then I want to get it off the table because it's not really what the focal point is here. So Redfall, to me, this game, there really isn't much to the trailer that they've launched. The Redfall release trailer or launch trailer, whatever, is a CGI trailer. It's about vampires, these sort of vampire demon-looking things. It's vampires, but they're very artistically. They're just kind of they're different. They're not your standard like suave-looking, slick, pretty vampires. It's very different. The art style is pretty cool. I think I'll give it that. But the CGI trailer was it was just fucking it was just another CGI trailer. I mean, it was just a cool, when I say cool, I mean it looked cool and there was production put into it and there was definitely some work put into it, and I can respect that and good for them. But the tone of the game I checked out on. It looks like a class-based multiplayer game that you're basically hunting and killing vampires, and these vampires have like minions and shit. The thing about the game that really bothered me the most was, or the trailer I should say, not the game, it was very hipster. Fucking the comedy just didn't land with me. It's very modern, it's very current, and it just didn't do anything for me. I thought it was kind of stupid. It tried to be like very chill and funny and very like, oh, we're so today. And sorry, I just, no, I'm not trying to shovel dirt on millennials here, but I don't feel that sort of, I'm not feeling that tone. Like it just doesn't, whenever I listen to millennials, like modern day millennials, the way they talk and the language they use, like that they portray, like in movies and TV shows and now video games, it's never anything where I'm like, oh, that's so cool, that's so funny. It's kind of an eye roll for me. That's just me. I know I'm older. I'm a Gen Xer. I get it. So that's just a subjective. That's just how I feel about it. So when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, you kind of lost me with the millennial tone, but okay, well, what's the game about? You don't know. The only thing we really know from the story or from the trailer is that the story is that you have there's 4 different types of vampire hunters, and they're hunting vampires, and it's like they're smart asses, and it's all goofy, fun trailer, like, oh, we're so cool, and just throwing little quips and shit, and it just didn't work for me. And it looked like there's like different classes, like each one of them has like superpowers, like straight up superpowers. They're like superheroes, the way they move and the things that the hunters can do. The things they do is, supernatural at least. So again, not terrible, but it just looked very class specific. I like vampires. I like the lore. I love vampire lore and werewolves and stuff like that. But this trailer did nothing for me. It could be just like another looter shooter for all I know, but you can't really tell. It really is. It could be. Is it third person? Is it first person? We don't know. So to me, Redfall, okay, whatever. It's not coming out. No big deal. The big deal here is Starfield. All right. Starfield is a supposed to be, and this is what we know. Starfield is supposed to be a science fiction RPG, a role playing game. That's it. That's all we fucking know. That's all they've said. I want to say this. I don't think this delay is all Microsoft's fault. I don't blame this on Microsoft. I don't blame this on Phil Spencer. I get it. Bethesda was already making this game before they were purchased by Microsoft. So I'm not saying this was Microsoft managing their studios poorly. However, when they bought them, which wasn't that long ago, this game had already been announced. This game, I think the first announcement of this game, or like the CGI little trailer or whatever, was like 3 years ago, something like that. I want to say it was like 2018 or 2019. So it's been a minute, long before Microsoft purchased them. Either Phil Spencer and Xbox, Microsoft, whatever, either they knew about this for some time and just acted like they didn't, and had the release date and said, all right, this is when it's coming out, knowing they were going to delay game, knowing they're going to delay that game. That has happened, not with just them, with other studios. Everyone has done it at one point or another. So either they did that, which, fucking not cool, but I don't approve of that, or they didn't know and Bethesda was lying to them, which means they were not managing Bethesda or Todd Howard well enough to know that this game was not ready. The reason why it doesn't surprise me that this game got delayed isn't just the fact that it's Todd Howard and Bethesda. It's the fact that we haven't seen dick about this game. Nothing. We've seen nothing. We know those two things. It's in the future, and it's science fiction RPG. That's it. That's all we know. And to me, they announced that they were going to do an Xbox showcase, and I'll talk about that too. But when they announced they were going to do that like a week ago, everyone, all of the Team Green was like, oh, it's coming, but what we're going to see, Starfield's going to be lit, dude. It's going to be, it's going to have everything. We're going to finally see some gameplay, and we're going to see this, we're going to see that, and it's going to get hyped and all this other shit. And I was like, well, okay, that's a lot of faith in that actually happening. And I don't understand how people could, I don't understand how when Microsoft does this type of shit, or Bethesda, I don't understand how people defend it, because I've heard a lot of defending the shit. I've heard a lot of, Team Green, Team Bethesda fans coming out and just going on about how, just defending it. And I want to get into some of those specifics, because I've heard some crazy shit over the last week. The thing about what they have shown, that the first cinematic trailer for Starfield was, you see a person coming into a ship that's on a cool looking planet, and it's a very pretty looking trailer, and it's pretty cool. I'm not saying it's not cool, but a person comes in and they sit their rifle down, or futuristic gun on a table, and the camera sort of pans around the interior of the ship, this more sort of smaller ship, and then they cut to the cockpit of the ship, and the person is switching a couple of buttons and shit, and it looks like they're geared to take off. And then you see a person looking through their fucking like mask or whatever, their visor, and they're looking up, and then it cuts to Starfield. All right. I listened to so many media outlets just fucking pour over this thing, listen to podcasters, listen to streamers, just pour over it and go on and on just about how, like, oh, it could be this, it could be that. I'm telling you right now, Bethesda and Microsoft have the best fucking marketing team that they don't even have to pay for. Team Green, the streamers, the media, the content creators, they are Microsoft's media corporation. They don't have to do anything. They can put out a fucking a nothing burger of a fucking trailer, or an 8-second shot of a robot, and
Team Green will they will go to bat, and they will spend hours upon hours pushing out hours of content, talking about what could be. This is great. This is that. They had a round table and they talked about some shit that they came up with over one night of dinner and shit. And it's like, oh my God, it was so amazing. Can you believe? And they said this and they said that. Microsoft and Bethesda don't even have to market their fucking games because their fans and the media will do it for them. And I don't understand how even right now, after this news, Team Green and Bethesda fans still come out and they do the same shit. They still defend this shit. And it blows me away. And again, being hyped for something, because I did hear this once. I heard someone saying like, oh, haters are saying I can't be hyped for this game, and I'm gonna be hyped no matter what. And this game looks tight. It's gonna be game of the year and all this shit. And why you trying to step on my fucking shine? And I'm just trying to be excited. Don't you get excited for games? Yes, and that's not the argument that I've ever made. Being excited for something that's coming it's human. It's very normal. It's okay. And no one's saying don't do that. Don't worry about your feels. You can still have them. The thing is there's a lot of projecting. And like I said, it's almost like they're marketing for the game, and they're not even getting paid to fucking do it. Maybe they are. I don't know. But I mean, from what I can see, they're not getting paid to market this game, but they sure as fuck try. Now they spend so much time talking about these games, or these two. Or we'll just stick with Starfield. I'm sorry. Talking about Starfield and just going on about what it's going to be when they don't even know. They have no idea what it is. But yet it's the most anticipated game of the year. I'm most excited for this game, and yada, yada, yada. Why? Tell me why. And then, a lot of Xbox fans and Bethesda fans, they go back to, Skyrim, which it's a long time ago. It's a really, really, really long time ago. Okay. They go back to, Fallout 3. That's a lot. That's another one I hear a lot about, Fallout 3. And then, but no one really goes on about Fallout 4. No one. I never hear that round being fired. It's never a point to be made that Fallout 4 was amazing, because I think Fallout 4 kind of fell short of what it was supposed to be. I wasn't impressed with that game. Now I'm not a Fallout guy, so that's fine. You want to take my opinion and just throw that aside? That's fair. Totally fair. I get it. But no one is like, dude, Fallout 4 was legendary. That's not what's happening. So Fallout 4 was the last sort of big, single player RPG style game they've made. After that, since then, it's been Fallout 76, and no one fucking can defend that. That thing's shit. The game is shit, and it's funny because I still hear people defend it. I see it in comment sections. I hear other streamers talk about it. Oh, the game has evolved into something so special. Oh my god, people just have too high expectations. Like, really? So a game working is too high of an expectation? A game not being buggy is too high of an expectation? I don't understand the defense of Bethesda. I just really don't. But everyone's still riding high on that Skyrim, Fallout 3 games from like a decade or longer, and those days are gone. Bethesda isn't doing that. Those types of games now, there's an umbrella of games, like I said before. There's id Software and there's Arcane Studios and stuff. So it's not. I'm just talking Bethesda proper, because everyone seems to fucking spurg out over Todd Howard and fucking I just don't get it. But they haven't done anything in a really long time. Not anything of significance. And even though, like I said, the defenders don't run to Fallout 4 and say, "Oh, Fallout 4 was amazing," because it wasn't. It really wasn't. So the other, let's move along to some other points here. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was just some of the things that, like, and I kind of mentioned them already, but so what we have seen about Starfield so far is Todd Howard sitting around a table with some devs talking about the game, but they didn't say shit. There is an 8-second video of a robot, which got turned into this, the robot is this, and it could be that, and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, again, more marketing, free marketing. And then the idea that it was like, what did they say? It was, I forgot what it was. They were pulling a specific type of system from like Oblivion, a game from like 15 years ago, and everyone was freaking out over that. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's going to have this system and it's going to be amazing." No one knows what this game is. No one does. Like I don't understand that. And I get if you are a fan of Bethesda and their games and shit, that I'm not telling you that you're wrong. That's not what I'm telling you. What I'm saying is they have been swinging and missing for a few now, and it's just being overlooked, and it's being just no one's acknowledging that shit, and it's getting annoying. And even now with this delay, it's still no one wants to acknowledge that shit. Let's see here. What was the other things I wanted to talk about here? Oh well, yeah. Let's talk about the game just for a second. Like the two things like that we know, science fiction RPG. We don't know if it's a first-person shooter game, a third-person shooter game. Do you even shoot? We assume because we saw a gun. We see a spaceship, and there was a leak, and it's so funny because the leaks that I talked about a week ago, they were getting shot down hard, and they still are right now by Team Green and Bethesda fans. They're shooting that shit down quick. Like, oh, well, that guy, he worked on it for like a year ago, and he was only there for a couple months. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And it's like, okay. But they just delayed the game because it's not ready. And the leaker a week ago said that there is flying in the game. So that was a reveal. A leaker actually revealed that, oh, you can fly a ship in the game. Cool. But he said it sucked. All right. He did say that they were still trying to find the fun. All right. That doesn't sound good. And he did say that the game had like the scope. They were still trying to figure out the scope that it seemed, I forgot the exact words, but regardless. And the guy did say that, oh, that was the other thing. I'm sorry. The third thing he said was the game itself graphically, it's not on par with Horizon Forbidden West. So we know that it doesn't have the graphical prowess of like what Sony's doing over here, what PlayStation has got going on. And those leaks just got shit on hard. The defenders came out from everywhere and was like, oh God, Sony fans want this to fail so bad. You guys are so desperate because you ain't got shit to play. Don't we? I feel like I have plenty to play. And I feel like even if I wasn't a Gran Turismo fan, even if I didn't play a racing game, which there's tons of people out there that don't play racing games, that's still a first-party studio making a game on only PlayStation consoles. So there's something to play. Horizon Forbidden West, I am not going to defend that game. I have my issues with that game. It's still a AAA title that's only played on PlayStation by a first-party studio from PlayStation. Okay? God of War is another one that keeps getting thrown out there like, oh, and actually, you know what? Hold on. Let's just we'll get to that. But the idea that there's nothing to play on PlayStation, that they don't have any games. And it's so funny to watch the argument, because I pay attention. The argument about what this game, what Starfield is, and then the leaks came out, and then it was like, and then it gets delayed. I do see some correlation. There is some correlation between the leaks now, specifically, that the game has been pushed out of this year. And they said the first half of 2023. So that's June. We're in May. So that game is over a year away. It could be over a year away. It could be 7 months away. It might come out in January or February or whatever. It may not be that far away, but it could be as far as June. Holy shit. So you're telling me the game got pushed out a fucking year? I don't understand. It doesn't surprise me, but the people that I listen to, or that I have been listening to, it's like fucking mental gymnastics, just contorting their arguments to every fucking which way to defend this shit. And I don't know. I don't get it. Let's see. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the showcase, the Xbox showcase. So they announced that this last week. With Redfall and Starfield getting pushed out of this year, Xbox doesn't have any games this year. Today, they don't have any games this year. What are they going to show at the Xbox showcase now? Do they show gameplay of Starfield and Redfall? Do we actually get to see a working, like, fucking gameplay, engine where we get to see shit in engine and see how it's going to look and what the fucking game actually is? That's what blows me away. Based on what we've seen so far, it could be a tabletop game. I've seen worse. I've seen cool ass fucking trailers, and you go play the game and it has nothing. It's nothing like the trailer. But what are they going to show? That's something else that I kept hearing. A lot of the defenders were coming out saying like, oh, they're going to come out. Oh, they're going to fucking drop some shit. You have no idea. There's rumors about this game's going to get they have games lined up ready for this year. And it's like, really? Okay. Because just a week ago, they didn't need any other games. All they needed was Starfield. That's all they needed. They needed Starfield and they need Forza to come out. Forza Motorsports 17 or whatever, which one they're on right now. Not shitting on the game, but it's just like, okay, Gran Turismo got shit on, and I heard that argument. It was like, oh, Gran Turismo was a sequel. For Horizon was a sequel. God of War is a sequel. When are they going to do something new? And it's like, okay, we got Starfield, we got Redfall. Now you don't. Now you might have a sequel come out this year. So does that argument still, does that mean Forza, the next Forza game, it's not that important? It doesn't count because it's a sequel? I mean, it's such a stupid argument. I don't see Forza Horizon, whatever number they're on right now. I don't look at them like, oh God, it's just a sequel. Who cares? Like, no, it's cool. Looks awesome. If I had an Xbox, I'd be fucking playing. It looks cool. And Xbox fans have a game they can play. Game Pass, subscribers, they have a game they can play day one. That's a feather in their cap that I have to tip my hat to. Like, hey, you got that one. That's awesome. Good for you guys. That's tight. But it's not. That never gets like reciprocated. When the shoe is on the other foot, it's just the goalpost just gets moved and moved and moved, and the argument goes from Xbox owns 2021. They owned it because Sony blew their wad in the first half of the year, and Xbox got to own the back half of the year. Okay, well, how's Halo looking right now? How is that? Not looking so fucking good. But Sony, now we're at 2022, and it's like, oh, so Microsoft has these 2 new IP, and Sony has 3 sequels coming out. We win. Now you don't. So now what? Oh, well, at the showcase, we're going to see games. We're definitely going to see games that they're going to drop this year. They're not just going to let nothing happen. It's like, move the goalpost. You just keep moving it. The argument just keeps shifting and shifting and shifting. And I'm very, very curious about the showcase now. My eyes will be glued to the screen because I want to know what they're going to do. If they do not have a AAA title come out this year from a first-party studio, they fucking suck. They just do. You cannot defend that. And people are absolutely defending it. I was listening to a guy go out of his way to fucking say, what's the big deal? I have Tunic to play. I have a backlog. That was the other argument. It's fucking driving me nuts. A week ago, Sony doesn't have, or PlayStation players don't have a new IP to play this year. So, nah. We have Starfield. We have Redfall. And now I literally heard an argument. Two guys went on and on about how, you know what? I'm actually thankful it's not coming out. I have a backlog to play. I have so many games right now. It's so crazy. Like, Game Pass is so amazing that I have so many games that I want to play. And I'm thankful now I don't have to play a 200-hour game. Really? That's where we're going with this? That's the fucking argument now. Goalpost. Move. It's fucking crazy. And it's like, it's so funny, speaking of goalposts and kicking fucking footballs, it's like Lucy just picking up the fucking football and Charlie Brown just keeps fucking falling on his ass. Haha, gotcha, bitch, every fucking time. And they get up, dust themselves off. They look at everyone and say, stop making fun of me. We're still awesome. I'm going to kick the field goal. And then Lucy pulls the fucking ball again, and they fall on their asses, and they get up, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And that was another fucking argument, was that my backlog is so full that I'm thankful that Starfield's not coming out this year. And deep down that's not true. They're upset, and that's okay. You should be. I would be fucking I would be really upset if, and this is just myself. Okay. I'm not the type of person that, like, I won't pay for something that if I'm not going to get any value out of it. I really don't. And Normie wife won't let me. She gets on me. If I have some sort of subscription or something, she's like, you're not using it. Why don't you just cancel that shit? And I'm like, okay, babe, you made a good point. All right. And she's like, yeah, it's been fucking 3 years. We've spent hundreds of dollars on a fucking subscription or a membership fee that you don't fucking go to. It's like, okay, you're right. But even myself, when I see those things, I'm like, I'm wasting this. I don't want to waste my money on this shit. Fuck that. I'm not going to spend the money. If I only had an Xbox Series X and nothing else, okay, nothing else, that was my only console, and this happened, I would be considering punishing Microsoft by just canceling my Game Pass subscription. I would. I legitimately would. I don't use Netflix, and Netflix came out with cuties, so they can fucking kiss my ass. But Netflix was already on the fence with me because I was like, it's the same. They're trash. The content's trash. They're all fucking woke. They don't have interest in good storytelling. So I was already talking. I was like, oh, babe, we don't need to fucking. I don't want to fucking support this shit anymore. Then cuties came out, and I was like, no, I really ain't fucking supporting that shit. So boom, canceled it that day. So I have no problem cutting the fucking cord. And that's not an issue for me. And I just, if Xbox was doing to, like if Phil was in charge of PlayStation and PlayStation Plus was like Game Pass and this type of shit kept happening, I would fucking have another console. I'd have, and again, I'm said, like, sticking to that, if I only had an Xbox, I'd be like, fuck it, I'm getting a Switch, or I'm getting a PlayStation. And I'm gonna go get a PlayStation 4 at least and fucking play some games because there's nothing coming out, nothing new. But the argument, the holy shit. It was like just listening to, I listened to since the news came out, I listened to a lot of fucking people talk about it. And it was just like, it was going out of their way. And just a week ago, I couldn't scroll through a fucking comment section without someone talking shit on Sony and saying how, oh, you guys want Starfield to fail because you guys ain't got shit to play. And, Xbox, Game Pass is kicking the shit out of PlayStation Plus, and you wish you had Game Pass on it. It's like, no, I don't. No, I really, really do not. In my heart of hearts. But in your heart of hearts, are you really, really happy that Starfield isn't coming out? Are you really happy? Or are you just saying that shit? Are you coping? It's like this. It's a coping mechanism, and it's a hoot to fucking watch. I'm telling you, like, watching these and listening to these people is fucking funny as shit. But I mean, you look at the Xbox showcase now, and you're going back to that. It's like, what are they going to show? What can they show? What if they come out now? Now, I will say this: best case scenario for Xbox fans, if Microsoft comes out and the showcase comes out, and they show a fucking just banger fucking trailer, a 10-minute trailer of gameplay of Starfield, I think that is the fucking bare minimum that they can do to make this okay with the gamers, with the Xbox, owners, where they show the game, you get to see some fucking cool gameplay. I'm talking about like a fucking killer trailer, something really good, because it's so funny. The more I think about it, it's like, actually, they probably couldn't. I'm sorry, they don't have to. They could literally, after everything that I've listened to, everything that I've read, they could fucking come out with another 8-second shot of just a galaxy shot of like different planets that you can travel, and Team Green would come out and fucking force, see, this is amazing. they would fucking go out of their way to say that, like, see, this is why they had to delay, because it's so fucking, the scope is so big and you guys have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know, man. It's like fucking spousal abuse. It's like the fucking Xbox fans, they'll just take a hit and just keep coming back. No, he loves me. It's just like, holy shit, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy. And again, I'm one of the things that I heard someone say was like, oh, you guys are cheering a delayed game. No, no, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not cheering a delayed game at all. I was very curious as to what this game was going to be, but I'm actually paying attention. I'm actually paying attention to what they're showing. Okay. And the argument that I heard, and this was fucking, this one was a great one. I love this one. So Ragnarok's coming out this year for sure. You know that? Do you have a fucking release date? You don't know it's going to come out. It's like, okay, whoa, easy. First of all, simmer down, okay? We actually saw a trailer of that game, and I heard the argument being made. Like, they showed a fucking gameplay trailer. We've actually seen a gameplay trailer. This one guy was going out of his way to say, like, it actually, you don't know that's gameplay. You don't know that. That probably is just a CGI trailer of in-game, of the game running in engine. It's all the shit. And I was like, holy fuck, dude. And even when the gameplay trailer was revealed from God of War Ragnarok, it was just getting slaughtered. Oh, look, the same boat animations. Kratos jumped in the boat the same way he did in the first game, so therefore it's reused assets. Oh, look, he did the same spin and smash on the ground. It's the same fucking game. This is DLC. David Jaffe, fucking suck it, you dipshit. You know, he come out talking shit. It's like, but you guys went out of your fucking way to to say that an 8-second fucking trailer of just literally a robot, a panning shot coming in on a fucking robot was fucking hair on fire, next level. It don't get no better than Starfield. It's just like, man, I was loving it. I really did. I had a lot of fun this week. You know, I did. I enjoyed listening to the debates and listening to the arguments. You know, and there are some Sony fans out there who are like, ha ha, finger wagging. I'm not cool with that. You know, I was reading some shitty comments from Sony fans. So listen, when I say commenters, I'm not only Team Green is bad commenters. No, that's not what I'm saying. Team Blue, there's some bad commenters too. There's some Team Red, there's some shitty commenters too. There's shitty fans in every fucking, you know, any organization, any fan of anything. You're always gonna have a bad apple or two. But I've listened to so much criticism from Xbox fans and Microsoft defenders, and it blows me away. It blows me away, like, just how hard that news must have been to hear that the game was being delayed, the game that they were hanging all of their hats on. They all were saying this is game of the year. It's like, I was hearing that, and how do you say that? How can you say a game that you've never seen is game of the year? Never even seen it. You don't even know what it is. You have no idea what type of game it is. Game of the year. Game of the year. Lock it in, buddy. What the fuck, dude? Oh man, it was crazy. Good week. For the drama, it was a good week. You know, in all actuality, you know, not poking fun here at all. It does suck because I will say this. You know, there isn't a release date for God of War Ragnarok. If it gets delayed, it's going to suck. And I'm going to be like, motherfucker, damn it, I want to play that fucking game. But I'm sure as fuck not going to be like, well, I got a backlog, so whatever. I'm glad it's not here. I didn't want to play that anyways. And it's what do they call that? What's that term? It's not just coping, but it's you're deluding yourself. Yeah, that's what it is. You know, I'm not going to delude myself into thinking that it's a good thing the game's not coming out, because I want to fucking play the game. It's a really fucking good franchise, and I'm really wanting to play it. Just like when God of War first got announced at E3 with that kick-ass fucking trailer, I was like, I want to play that game. And if I'm not mistaken, that game got delayed too. I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But regardless, you know, delays happen. You know, Sony's delayed the games. For Horizon was delayed, and they put the wrong date on that because they, you know, it got ate up by Elden Ring. And they, you know, that was another thing too. That just reminded me. I was listening to another fucking this guy was a dick. I will say this. I was listening to one guy who was a streamer. He was a fucking dick. He started mouthing off with politics and shit. And I was like, whoa. He was like, well, if you agree with this politician, blah, 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 you agree with this politics, you can just fucking leave. And I was like, click. Okay, no problem. You know, I'll leave. You had like 150 people in the room. Okay, now you got 149. You know, I was like, God dang, you know, fucking. Some people just don't bother. They put their fucking politics above everything else. You know, it's like, I don't like that. And as the other argument too was like, the guy was saying like, you know, and all you people who say that, why do we have to have politics when we're talking about games? You know what? Fuck you. I was like, holy shit. I mean, you know what? I'll tell him this. At least the guy was convicted. I mean, at least he's passionate, but what a fucking dick, man. I mean, he got me to click off there, and I'll never go back to that channel ever again. just for that, just out of spite, because I don't like to be spoken to like that. Jesus, I forgot where I was going. Oh, I know. Yeah. So it was about God of War. Oh, fuck, I forgot now. Maybe it'll come to me later. But yeah, I will say this, delays happen and they do suck. They're not cool. They're not fun. No one wants a game that they really want to play. When it's time for it to come out, you want it to be there, especially when they say, oh, it's coming out May 22nd or it's coming out, April 28th. It's like, oh, cool. Yeah. Can't fucking wait. Oh, the game's coming out fucking December 9th. I can't fucking wait to play that game. And it doesn't, and it gets delayed. It's like, oh man, it's a fucking gut shot, and that sucks, and if you're a Sony fan or Nintendo fan and you're fucking throwing dirt on people, listen, I'm all cool with the debate and the back and forth and shit like that, but let's not name call, because that was one thing that I was hearing a lot was, this is kind of, I will say this covers just about any sort of debate. If you're debating someone and your debate begins with name calling, you've lost. Okay. Once you say you're a fucking idiot or, oh, you're fucking stupid, you don't know what you're talking about, you've lost the debate. You have nothing to say. Also, what I was hearing, and this is another piece of it, if you're an Xbox fan and you're defending this and your first defense is Sony something. What about Sony something? What about PlayStation something? Because I heard that a lot. Oh man, I heard a lot. Oh, this game got delayed. What about them? What about that? It's like, that's not what we're talking about. The question is, how do you feel about Xbox not having a AAA game come out, a first-party AAA game come out in 2022? How do you feel about that? You know what? Sony, Horizon Forbidden West, that got overshadowed by Elden Ring. So, so that game's just forgotten. It's like, okay, the question still stands. How do you feel about that? All they've had was a sequel, 2 sequels. Oh, what's the big deal? Ragnarok isn't even coming out. You don't even know. It's like, okay, the question still stands, and it still hasn't been answered. It's that if you have to say that, if that's the defense, you don't have a defense. You really don't. And if Ragnarok, God of War gets delayed, I will say that fucking sucks and it pisses me off. That's lame, dude. Like, what are they going to have? And I would say those exact words. So what are they going to fucking have in the fall then? Because that's supposed to be their fall title. So now what are they going to do? That sucks. They just gave up the whole holiday season without one big title. Man, get your shit together. That's what I'd be saying. And I would, and it could happen. It could happen tomorrow. Today's Sunday. I wake up tomorrow. God of War Ragnarok delayed. I'll come on here next weekend and say those fucking words, because it's bullshit. That would suck for me. I would not be happy about it. But I wouldn't defend it. I wouldn't say, well, Starfield got delayed, Redfall got delayed, so there's no argument here. And it's like, yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. It's poor management. And developers and publishers, when they put these fucking announcement dates on games and then they miss those marks, it's like, okay, there are certain things where it's like, oh, we've missed some things and we're going to delay the game. But this was weird. This one is kind of interesting. This was like, this game comes out in like 6 months and it's fucking kick ass and we're going to fucking blow you guys away. And then some leaks come out and then they announce a fucking showcase where they say they're going to, the rumor is they're going to show off the game. And then the game gets pushed out up to a fucking year. That's suspect to me. That's very suspect. And furthermore, we haven't seen anything about the game, and we have seen Ragnarok gameplay. We have seen God of War gameplay. So, I would be that would be suspect to me. Like, what else do you got to do? Like, what's missing? Like, shit must be really broken. Sony, get it together. So, but I think that's it. I think I'm gonna leave it there. I've said enough. It was an interesting week. I'll tell you what. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun watching. I think I covered everything. Not really much else to say. Had a lot of points on there. Yeah, I think I covered them all. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. That was the last story on the docket there. Wanted to save the meat and potatoes for the end. But if you stuck around this long, I thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you for taking the time. It's always a pleasure having you here. I hope you had a good weekend and have a great week. I will see you next weekend, same time, same channel. You think a friend might like this, share it with them. If you haven't subscribed, click the button, like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Oh, and the thumbs up, I guess, thing is like a really big deal. So if you like the video and you think I'm an okay guy, click that thumbs up. I guess it helps the algorithm. Other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. You guys have a great week. I'll talk to you later. Bye.